Hi, this is Joe DiMatteo Jr., registered pharmacist, certified clinical nutritionist. Thank you for joining me today. Today I would like to answer an email from a customer and listener that it's quite honestly a question that we get very often. It's related to leg cramps. So this listener said, do you have any products or recommendations for persistent leg cramps? It didn't get any more specific. Oftentimes we hear about them at night. Kind of just mentioned general persistent leg cramps. So first of all, as we usually do, start with the basics. Hydrate well. You know, there are definitely different numeric recommendations out there. 15.5 cups for men, 11.5 cups for women. I think those are fine as a baseline, but overall, my recommendation to you, if you are experiencing leg cramps, is increase it. Some people are way below that, and they'd be doubling or increasing by 50% to go to those benchmark numbers. Other people, they're above that. They're very active. Maybe they consume a lot of caffeine, maybe even alcohol. So then the need goes up. But either way, if you are getting leg cramps, I would recommend to increase from wherever you are, increase the amount of water that you're drinking. Not sugary sports drinks. Again, not including tea and caffeine, coffee, etc. No sodas. We're talking about water consumption or basic sugar-free sports drinks, things that, are not going to be creating different osmotic pressure in the body via that sugar, via that caffeine, etc. So ideally, you're doing a filtered water, either by reverse osmosis or a quality bottled water. Okay, and I think if you want more of a benchmark maybe than a number that you're drinking, I would look more towards urine color, to be quite honest with you. You don't want it to be clear. That's when you've maybe gone a little too far. You're looking for more of a light pale yellow is ideal, okay? And it's not just about one specific time of the day. It's about where you are on average throughout the day. I think I would view that more as a goal than a specific amount of water that you're drinking, okay? And in order to do that, you do want to make sure that you're not kind of chugging water. Well, I have to get my numbers in, or I have to get my urine to be more pale yellow. So what I'm going to do is every couple hours, I'm just going to, chug a big glass of water. That's not ideal either. When you do that, you get a much lower percentage of water absorbed. The body just can't handle it at that time. Also, there's a lot going on in terms of, again, that osmolarity and the difference, the way the body and the kidney processes different minerals, etc., which we will get to. So you want to drink that water throughout the day, okay? More of a pulsed drinking of the water. All right, that's the way to get the most efficient use. You will get, even with less water intake, if you're doing it throughout the day, you will get a more efficient use of the water by the body than drinking a higher value or amount of water, but doing so in kind of quips throughout the day. In terms of a product or a nutrient or supplement, the main one that I would recommend is magnesium. I mean, you certainly want to also look at getting these minerals through your food, through quality food sources, such as fruits and vegetables that are going to contain some water, but also good minerals. But I think in terms of a supplement, if this is something that's maybe you need a therapeutic option here. Again, you're getting bad leg cramps. It's affecting your sleep. You do want to step it up and consider a nutrient such as magnesium. Why magnesium? Magnesium is not just involved in muscle contraction or lack thereof. It's really also an issue because we are deficient as a population. Reasons for that. The soil is depleted of magnesium. Also, we have a very high intake of calcium. A lot of times people that are getting these leg cramps are a little older, maybe they're even taking a calcium supplement. That's going to affect magnesium absorption balance throughout the day. We also take in a lot of salt, and you may say, hey, I don't really salt my food. That's not really the main area where salt intake is high, how much salt you're putting on your food. Of course, that's a source. It's really about the processed foods that we eat and prepared foods that contain a lot of salt that's hidden. It doesn't really taste salty to you, but it's in there as a preservative. It's in there for flavor. You don't even notice it. So again, even if you're not dumping a lot of salt on and you think you don't use a lot, you'd have to really look at your labels. And then again, prepared and processed foods, that's even harder to do. The reason is the more sodium you take in, again, the body and the kidneys trying to balance. Can't go into complete detail. That's a whole separate video. But essentially, when you've got this increase of calcium or this increase of sodium intake, your body ends up excreting more magnesium along with it as it's trying to get rid of that sodium. Body kind of flushes those minerals together. So again, this comes back to the need for it, not just because you have leg cramps, maybe not just because you're not hydrating well, but we're not getting it in our diets. And unless you're eating organic or really high quality foods very often, you're not really getting it in the soil either. So when you're talking about a magnesium supplement, you're really looking at the forms and the salts. You want a good absorbable form. Okay, our Mag Essentials is a blend of multiple different forms. Okay, and just to show you how critical forms are, magnesium citrate is actually one of the most powerful over-the-counter laxatives that there are. So you're not absorbing the magnesium, it's passing to the point that it's used as a laxative. So that just shows you how critical these salt forms are. You don't have to be a chemist to understand even just the generalities of why a form or a salt form can be so important. So magnesium is bound to citrate and it becomes a laxative. The next step in what's done in most supplements, if the average doctor or the average supplement you'd walk in at a grocery store would be magnesium oxide. That's okay. That's not a full-blown laxative, but it does have laxative effect. It's just one form. It's not absorbed all that great, but that's typically your standard magnesium supplement. So by stepping up, you're really getting into multiple forms. Okay, you're getting into forms that are absorbed like amino acids by the body. Okay, we get a lot of people that ask, well, what about magnesium glycinate? That's a great form. That's in our Mag Essentials. That would be a step up from the mag oxide. But what you're missing with that versus something that's more comprehensive like our Magnesium Essentials is that we use a blend of different salt forms. So you do have a little citrate in there. Okay, the body still can absorb a little bit of that. We have a glycinate, like we mentioned, and lysine salt form, chelate. Okay, it just means the way the minerals are bound. All right, it also has magnesium malate. Magnesium malate actually improves uptake directly by the muscles. So the advantage of doing the whole comprehensive blend is that the body can typically only absorb via the same pathway a certain amount. So if you take all magnesium glycinate, you hit a cap of how much of that magnesium your body can actually absorb. When you take, maybe it's the same amount of magnesium, but it's split up between glycinate, lysine, a little bit of citrate, and malate, now you're not capping at any of those specific pathways. The body's absorbing the magnesium and those forms all by different pathways. So you're allowing a more efficient absorption into the bloodstream, into the muscles in this case, let alone all the other things that magnesium does. So that's why, again, magnesium glycinate, great product. It's in ours, but that's the difference between doing a comprehensive one and just doing magnesium glycinate alone, even though you are at another level than doing a mag oxide. So next question is probably how much. It depends on if the cramps are just at night or if it's throughout the day. If it's throughout the day, obviously you need to take it at least twice a day, maybe even 3 times a day. The worst that'll happen if you do go over your body's ability, at least initially, to handle magnesium intake would be that you did some loose stool. So if it's throughout the day, I would start with 1 twice a day. Maybe after a few days, go up to 2 twice a day. That hopefully, along with some hydration and some dietary basics, will get you to the point where you're not experiencing those bad cramps, okay? So that's more if it's throughout the day. If it's mainly night cramps, I would start with 2, maybe like 45, 60 minutes before bed, then go up to 3 after a couple days. Then at that point, if it's still not helping you, you can add something in during the day. But typically at those levels, we see great success. Again, if you're looking for the entire answer in a pill and you're not hydrating well, you're intaking a lot of caffeine and alcohol that's exacerbating that. It's the summer, you're maybe a little bit physically active, you're doing a lot of sweating. If you're not changing those basics and you're taking in tons of calcium, tons of sodium, it's not going to change. But if you use the magnesium as a piece to the puzzle with that hydration, with those dietary changes, you start to incorporate more whole live foods, I think you will start to see resolution to this issue. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Joe DiMatteo Jr. If you liked this video and liked what you heard, go to our YouTube page, hit subscribe, and make sure you ring the bell to make sure you're notified of all our new videos and content.